Everybody, hopefully you had a wonderful weekend and the weather treated you well and you were able to enjoy your family and friends. So we'll go ahead and get started today. One of the things I want to talk about today is, um, uh, the DOL and how it's going to affect the industry. And I'm just doing a little dab here and there about this as we go forward because I know we got a lot of guys that are concerned about it. But I just want to show you how the industry works. So how long has the insurance company or insurance industry been around, guys? 30 years? How long has it been around? Nobody's answering. Yeah, 200, 150 since Roman times, exactly. So has there been any big changes that affected the insurance industry in those times? Yeah. And so then what happens to the insurance industry? They shut down, right? They say, oh, can't do business anymore. Or what happens? When you squeeze the balloon, what do they do? They're experts at doing this. They adapt, right, Bob? So let me just give you an example of how they could adapt to the DOL. This is why what they've done is so stupid. What they've done is so stupid. They could have done very simple and said, listen, the DOL could have just simply said, you know what? You need to disclose everything, and people have to be fiduciaries. It could have been a one-page document. Instead, they made it all those pages and protecting the lobbyists that got in front of the DOL. But let me just show you how a new annuity that would be compliant with DOL could be formed. So this does not exist, but I'm just going to show you what the kind of things the insurance industry will be doing going forward. So let's say that there's an annuity series, and this annuity series all have the same 7-year surrender. Okay? But there's 6 different indexes. So essentially there's 7 different annuities in this series, 6 with different indexes, and one with a fixed, one with a fixed rate. So you understand that there's basically 7 different annuities in this series. Okay, 7 separate annuities in this series. All premiums for your clients would be deposited into the fixed rate annuity. What would be the importance of that with the DOL? All premiums are deposited in the fixed rate annuity. How would that be important with the DOL as it stands right now? Well, we'll talk about it. Nobody's answering, so I'll talk about that in the next slide. So after a blackout period, the buyer can choose to move whatever portion they want into one of the other choices of the series at no cost. So they can move it to one of the other annuities at no cost. So here's the thing. At the point of sale, you're paid compensation for the fixed rate annuity. And the fixed rate annuity, the importance of that is it falls under the PTE 84-624, which means it doesn't fall under the BICE. Now, at point of exchange, you're not going to receive any compensation. So that means, under specific definition of a recommendation, would fall under educational carve-out. So there's no problem with the DOL that way. Thus, it does not fall under the BICE. The insurer makes a spread, but the DOL specifically states that spreads do not count as compensation as defined by BICE. So this would eliminate the DOL's ability to regulate the sale of this type of annuity. So it's good for the client because they're going to put money into a guaranteed account, and then they have the flexibility of moving into one of the other annuities at their leisure, which would allow them to dollar cost average or wait for a dip in the market or to rebalance or to do whatever. So do you get that, guys? So this, you could sell this annuity just like you'd sell without any problem from the DOL whatsoever. So this does not exist right now, but this is an example of what the insurance industry could do. And do you think with the kind of money that's involved, the insurance industry is working on these kind of products right now? So let me see some yeses or nos on this. So 2 yeses. Good, everybody's saying yes. So that's why I'm saying right now, what should we be focusing on? And the only reason I bring this up is I get questions all week long about it. But what should we be focusing on right now? Yeah, the 21 and what? The eye to eye and what? Getting in front of people and not worrying about what's happening in the future. Selling, 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 the 21. Right, Scott, that's exactly right. So this annuity does not exist now, but give it time. It'll exist before the DOL. But they're not really going to forward this because we don't even know what the DOL is going to look like with all the lawsuits that are out there, with all the clarifications that are required, etc. But I just wanted to let you know, don't worry about it. There'll be plenty of things for you to make a living with. Okay, so changing the subject here. Let's talk about the top 1% of advisors. or top 1% of comedians or top 1% of athletes. Let's just talk about the top 1%. How are they different? What do they do? Well, you'd think maybe they have, they have stronger willpower. No, that's not it. They don't have stronger willpower. They just make a life's design. They change their lives around what they want to happen. And here's what I mean by that. You've probably heard this from me. Do I like goals, guys? Do I think goals are a good thing or a waste of time? Yep, waste. Everybody's getting it. No, I don't like them. It's a waste of time. Instead, you should have what? A system. And then just follow that system. Let the system help you achieve things. So that's what we're talking about here with life's design. So Jerry, one of our advisors, sent me this article about Jerry Seinfeld. And you've heard me talk about Jerry Seinfeld before, but Jerry, one of our advisors, sent me this article about Jerry Seinfeld. So thank you, Jerry. So here's the thing. Seinfeld still makes $32 million a year based on syndication of his show. And that show is still, my kids love that show. And it's how many years old right now? So it's held up. So why was Jerry Seinfeld able to become as funny as he was, be able to write the jokes that he wrote, be able to do what he did? Well, you have probably heard me talk about that before he was on the Tonight Show. He practiced his 3-minute bit 200 times. 200 times before that 3 minutes. 200 times before he went on to the Tonight Show. But his whole mentality of becoming who he is as a comedian, here's what he did. He did one thing over and over and over every single day. Actually, what he did is he sat down. They asked him what he did. Let me see if I can get the quote here. He said the way to become a better comic was to create better jokes, and the way to create better jokes was to write every day. He told me to get a big wall calendar. There was a whole year on one page and hang it in a prominent wall. The next step was to get a big red magic marker, and he said for each day that I do my task of writing, I get to put a big X over that day. And after a few days, you'll have a chain. Just keep at it, and the chain will grow every day. You see that the chain, especially when you get a few weeks under your belt, the only job is not to break the chain. So essentially what's happening here with this not breaking the chain he did this for a whole year, every single day, just X after X after X. So in effect what you're using is your own human tendency for a habit to create to work against your natural tendency to do nothing. So you're using a habit to overcome your ability to do nothing, to procrastinate, to stall, to be otherwise unproductive. So rather than setting goals and hoping that you have the power to push through, you're actively installing a new mental software, making new neurological pathways to make these things happen. So why do you think I'm showing this to you? What do you think? Where do you think you could use this in your practice? Mike's got it. Terry's got it. Paul's got it. Okay, everybody started to get it. Yes. Do the 15-minute drill correctly every single day. Now, I've even said just do it during your work days. Is that how Jerry did it? No, Jerry did it every single day. He didn't make a mistake. And believe me, writing jokes is a hell of a lot harder than doing the 15-minute drill. Sitting down and coming up with new jokes every single day is a lot harder than the 15-minute drill. So how many more excuses will I put up with people not doing the 15-minute drill and doing it right? Saying, I'm doing it in my car, or I didn't do it today. I had a lot coming up on my plate. How many days did Jerry do this? Seinfeld, how many days did Seinfeld do this? Every single day for 365 days, and then the next year, guess what he did? The same thing. People say, well, Mike, geez, I can't, how are you so smooth? How are you able to get on people's side so easy? How are you able to turn around the conversation after you get on somebody's side back to where you need to go? How can you do that so smoothly? Well, Missy, was I this smooth when you first met me?
Not at all. You had a few little rough areas that you had to work out.
So guys, this is something that you develop over time by doing it every single day. And do you think Seinfeld made an excuse that I don't feel well today? My family came in today. No, because he was on a mission, and he made it part of his day. I mean, do you guys not brush your teeth well, let's see some answers to this. Do you not brush your teeth when you have, oh, geez, I didn't have time to brush my teeth today because I have relatives in town? Is that what you say? Oh, I didn't have time to shower today. Didn't have time to shower today. Got some relatives in town. Oh, didn't have time to shower today because, you know what, some clients just popped into my office. So, guys, is there any excuse for not doing the 15-minute drill? No, zero, zippo. Make sense? So thanks, Jerry, for reminding us about a master of getting better, Jerry Seinfeld. So let's see. And now the next thing I want to talk about is this, which is the 21. So here's the thing, guys. Kudos to the guys that sent me in tapes last week. And a lot of guys that sent me in tapes because they're taking this eye-to-eye seriously. They're getting excited, and they're doing the right thing by sending me tapes to evaluate. But here's the thing I'm seeing with these tapes. You know what? You can see the ghost of a 21 in them. You can see a ghost of the 21 in them. You can see, yeah, I guess they're covering the 21 topics, but how well do you think they're covering them? Now, some are covering them pretty darn well. Some are covering them where you can just barely see a wisp of the 21. But guys, if you want the eye-to-eye to work, guess what? How good you got to be at the 21? You got to be awesome at it. These people are not going to just throw you their money. See, the one-on-one has been around forever. I mean, not forever, for 10 years. RME 360 has been doing it for 10 years. The difference being is, guess what? A lot of people tried it. It didn't work. Why didn't it work? Because if you just show up and just blah, 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 guess what happens? Nothing. The tool that you have that's going to make it work is the 21. The tool that you have that's going to make it work is the 21, because if you do it right, they're going to tell you for an hour and a half or 2 hours in their own words why they have to leave their current guy. They're going to tell you why they have to leave their current guy. So I know I looked at I think 5 different people last week, and they're not even halfway through their appointments, and none of them have less than $1 million. I've seen 2 guys that have over $2 million, and they're not even halfway through their 7 appointments. We're talking about 3 or 4 appointments. They're at $1 million, $2 million in assets. But guys, who gives a rat's patootie if they got $1 million or $2 million of assets if they don't what? But if you're good at the 21, guys, if I'm awesome up at the 21, guess what? How much of that $2 million am I going to close? All of it. Why? Because I'm not going to tell them to move. Who's going to tell them to move? They are. And they're only halfway through. We could see $5 million for 1 mailing. So guys, here's the thing. I don't understand why you're not spending every waking moment mastering the 21. Because once you have the ability to sit down with $2 million, $3 million, $5 million in a mailing and have all that money moved to you, guess what, guys? Take all the time off you want in the world. But I don't understand why you won't do the work up front to make sure that when you see those people, that you're able to do that. So please, get busy. Because, there's only limited supplies available. When you do a mailing, we're talking about 7 people. These people, but here's the thing. These people have only, the ones I looked at last week, they're only at 3 or 4 appointments out of the 7. And they've already got that much money in front of them. But that's not unlimited. If they blast through that, guess what? They got nothing. So please spend every waking moment mastering the 21. Because once you master it, guys, how much time do you have to spend on it? Once you have it mastered, do I have to practice the 21 now? No. Funny thing is, though, guess what? I still do. So that's why I scratch my head, and you guys hear me get frustrated when I'm talking with you on the phone, and it's apparent that you haven't spent the time on it. I'm like, really? You've got the goose that laid the golden egg, and you're not, you're treating it like a farm duck. Stop doing that. See, you don't practice it until you get it right. Practice it until you can't get it wrong. So what would you add to that, Jeff?
Well, I think, yeah, I don't know what to add to it, to be honest with you. I mean, you know, it's the thing that we keep saying over and over and over, and I know sometimes when the light bulb goes off, people see it and they're like, wow, now that I've seen it in action, you know, I'm never going to not do this. The problem is, if you don't do it, you'll never see the light bulb go off. And it's just, I think it's really what it comes down to is, you know, similar to the Jerry Seinfeld story. Our Jack Nicklaus, sorry, the golfer, used to tell a story where he said that before tournaments he would go out to the driving range and there'd be a lot of people that would watch the golfers warm up. And he said, I remember hitting a ball and someone in the crowd said, wow, what a great shot, Mr. Nicklaus. That's awesome. I wish I could hit a ball like that. And he said he kind of looked back at the crowd and he waved and thanks and teed up another ball and hit it, and same guy, wow, I mean, seriously, Mr. Nicklaus, what a great shot. Wish I could play golf like that. And he kind of looked back and he said, okay, I appreciate that, but thank you. Thank you. Teed up another ball and hits it, and the guy says, no, seriously, Mr. Nicklaus, that is such an amazing shot. I wish I could play golf like you. And he looked back and he said, you know what, please stop saying that. Because if you really wanted to play golf like me, what you would do is you would come out here every day, like I have every day for the last 30 years, and you would hit a couple hundred golf balls. And so no, you really don't want to play golf like me. Because if you did, you could. You just have to come out here and do what I did, but you don't do that, and that's why you can't play golf like me. So I love that you're a fan, but please stop saying that. And that's kind of what it can feel like sometimes. People are always like, wow, I wish I could do it like you. Well, you could if you really wanted to, and I hear you say you want to, but if you don't do the things you need to do, you know, sometimes it's a matter of I hear what you say, but I see what you do, and I can only believe one or the other. So, I mean, if you really want to, then go out and do these things, and you will.
So do you understand? I look back at the peanut gallery when you say, "Oh, Mike, I can't believe you do that. You know, I'm never going to be able to do that, and you do it so easily." Guys, I'm saying the same thing. Jack Nicklaus is. You don't say that unless you want to do it, because all the guys that I've ever taught in the last 15 years that have made $1 million a year. There's been a guy who was a 20, I think 6-year-old who made $1 million a year within 18 months. I've got guys that were well in their 30s, 50s, 40s. All made $1 million a year, and none of them could do this stuff before they started. And some of them were wallflowers, some of them were analytical, some of them were glad-handers, some of them were smarter than others. But guess what? First of all, if you had them do the 21, guess what? They did it as well as I did. How? Because they were special? No. You know, if they all were the same age as me and had the same personality as me and had the same intelligence as me, fine. Some were smarter than me, some were dumber than me. Some were more personable than me, some were less personable than me. But guess what they all did? Didn't matter their personality, didn't matter how smart they were, didn't matter where they were in the country. I mean, we had Los Angeles to Green Bay, Wisconsin, to Orlando, Florida, to Texas, to New Jersey. So they all made over $1 million a year within 18 months. Guess what they all had in common? Yeah, that's right. I mean, they used the recipe. They said, "Oh, I can do this recipe. All I have to do is do." If it says 1 cup of flour, guess what I'm gonna do? 1 cup of flour. If it says bake it for at 350 for an hour, I'm gonna bake it for an hour. If it says an hour and 2 minutes, I'm gonna bake it for an hour and 2 minutes. They followed the recipe. Here's the great thing, guys. I've mapped it out for you. Then other people have tried it out. You know, we've had over 400 people use this successfully to triple their incomes. And like I said, we've had, you know, well over a dozen have made over $1 million a year using this stuff. And yet you still aren't putting the work into it. I don't know if you just make so much money that you don't care about making more, but here's the sad thing. I've got guys who, for 3-4 years, you know what? They use the system. make some money, and then guess what they do for the next 3 months? Jack squat. And then by the time they have to go see somebody else, they've forgotten everything. Guys, just learn it and use it over and over and over again, okay? Make sense? Okay, well, I'll stop beating this dead horse now, but start treating what you have with respect, guys, okay? And go learn it. So what I'd like to talk about today is the things that our clients run into that are unexpected. So what are the unexpected expenses that people have in retirement? So this was a study done by the Society of Actuaries. It's a 2015 study of unexpected retirement expenses. And they found that 13% of retirees experienced 3 or more unexpected expenses. 19% experienced 4 or more. 40% experienced at least 1 or 2. And 28% none, which means the vast majority of people are going to come across an expense that they weren't aware or that they're going to have. So one of the ones, this is the smallest one, is lots of capacity to handle their own affairs. So this is just talking about somebody needing to step in, hire somebody to handle their affairs. Now that only happens it ends up being about 1% of retirees that they have to hire somebody to handle their affairs for them, but that would be an unexpected expense, wouldn't it? Number 2, divorce, and this can be what, guys? It ends up that 7% of retirees will end up facing divorce. That's small or large? 7%, is that small or large? That's large. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people. And is divorce something that generally helps people financially or can crush them financially? Yeah, crush them. Unexpected damage to their house. Unexpected damage to their house. Something that's not covered, like ice dams. Our ice dams, for those of you who live in the north, you probably are very familiar with ice dams. They're not covered by insurance. A pipe breaking in your front yard between the main sewer and your house, is that covered by insurance? Is that covered by the utility company? And how many thousands of dollars can that be? Thousands and thousands of dollars. So things that happen to your house, I mean, a rainstorm fills up the windowsill and floods your basement. Is that covered? No. So there's lots of things that aren't covered. It ends up that about 6% of people are going to face this in their lifetime, in their retirement lifetime. Foreclosure, you know, and that can be caused by really any of these other things can compound, and that's where you see people get not just one thing happen, unexpected thing happening during retirement, but 2 or 3, because one of these other things could cause, you'll end up seeing can cause foreclosure. An example of that is, you know, many people will also face bankruptcy. It ends up being that about 3-4% will face bankruptcy. And this is a sad one, scams. And you might think scams only affect stupid people. Does it end up that scams only affect stupid people? No. Guess what? Guess who scams? You know, who do con men go after? Stupid people? Do con men go after stupid people? No, they go after people with money. And people with money, Greg, do they normally smart or dumb? You know, there's some dumb rich people, but very many? No, they're mostly smart people. But here's the sad thing. Smart people think they what? Sometimes smart people think they what? They're not like Einstein, who said the more I know, the more I don't know. I'm sorry, the more I know, the more I know I don't know. They think they know it all. So guess who scams can happen to? In fact, Missy and I talked about 6 months ago where there's a nice lady that we know who is a smart lady, works in the financial industry, and she got scammed out of her entire life savings, and her home was paid off, and she took out a loan and is basically now is being foreclosed on because she took everything penny out of the house that she could possibly get. She has no income, no assets, and now she's basically a pauper after having a comfortable retirement. And she's not a dummy. She's an executive assistant in this industry, and she got scammed. It happens to every walk of life. And basically what it comes down to, what's the number one reason people are scammed? Greed. either greed financially or greed emotionally. They want more money or more love, and that's what's going to cause problems. So what do we constantly, what do I tell people, when we talk about money managers, what do I say about money managers? Listen, when the market goes up, you're going to go up. When the market goes down, you're going to go down. Plan is market goes up more often than the market goes down. So what am I do? Why do I talk that way, guys? Why do I have that kind of agreement with my clients? Why do I walk them through? Are you on the bell curve? Are you the kind of person that spends your entire Social Security check down at the casino? Are you the type of the person that buries your money under a big rock in the backyard? Or are you somewhere in between? Why am I constantly having these conversations with people? Not just at the first time I become a client, but every annual review. Why do I have those conversations with people? So they maintain what? A grasp of reality. They're not looking for something that does not exist. And when I do that, guess what? I'm insulating them from scams. The loss of a loved one. What percent of people are going to lose a loved one? 100%, exactly. 100%. So let me ask you a question, guys. How many of you talk to your clients about the fact that how they're going to, will losing a loved one affect them financially? How will losing a loved one affect them financially? How will losing a loved one affect them financially? How? Why is there a loss? That's right, loss of Social Security. So how many of you guys are talking about this with their clients? Do you think they even put two and two together? This is the problem until what? And here's the thing, I don't know if you've looked at this, but you know what happens to most people's tax bill when they lose their loved one and income? So their income goes down, and guess what happens to their tax bill? Goes up. So have you talked about that? When we talk about it where? We talk about it with the one-way presentation. We talk about it with the trip presentation, that when they lose a loved one, they lose income. Is this the conversation you're having with your clients? Because I guarantee you they're not having it with themselves. And do you think any other advisor out there is talking about that? I don't think so. I haven't heard of it. How about medical expenses that aren't covered by Medicare? Are all medical expenses covered by Medicare? No, it ends up study after study after study by ARP, by Mount Sinai Hospital, by Emory University, have shown that the typical person during their retirement, couple during their retirement will spend over $200,000 in out-of-pocket expenses for things that aren't covered by their insurance, their Medicare SUP, their Medicare, etc. And is that how's Medicare treating or how's Medicare treating medical bills at this point? Are they covering more and more stuff or less and less stuff? Are they capping it? I mean, when these people go to their doctor, are they end up paying some of the bill because Medicare is capped at a certain level? I know here the Mayo Clinic here doesn't even take, they have a limit on how many Medicare clients they even take anymore. So this is what's happening to our clients on a daily basis, and do they realize that? How about costs of chronic disease, diabetes, heart disease, those kind of things? And here's the thing, the great thing about medicine is we're aging, or we're living longer. The problem with that is what's happening. The fact that we're living longer is great, except for one thing. We see more and more what? Chronic diseases. And people with diabetes, heart problems, high blood pressure, are all of their, and a lot of the expenses, are they all medical, or are they just, are they lifestyle costs? About their home, the things that they need, how they travel, all those things. What kind of shoes they have to wear. Dental expenses, and guys, this is huge. I mean, how much does a root canal cost? How much does it cost to get a new tooth put in when a tooth falls out or breaks? This is stuff that people who are retired see all the time. New dentures. These are not inexpensive things. These are expensive things. Family emergency. Because you know what? This is the first generation. Boomers are the first generation who are taking care of who? Boomers are the first generation who are taking care of who? Well, you got half of it. Some people are saying kids. Some people are saying parents. Guess what? That the first generation are taking care of what? That's right. All the generations. Themselves, their kids, their parents, everybody. So family emergencies, is the number of family emergencies going to go up or go down for people who are retired? It's going to go up because at this point, they're taking care of a huge number of people. Loss of investment due to poor investment decisions, meaning that not due to the market, but because they've got what? Clients got what? Greedy. So they put their money into REITs because they thought REITs were going to be what? They thought REITs were actually paying them 7%. When interest rates were at 0.5%, they thought REITs were actually paying them 7%. Guys, should you be looking at something careful? When it's paying you 700% more than everybody else out there, should you look at it closer? How about that hot stock tip? How about, I mean, all sorts of things. So there's people that are going to lose their money because of bad investments. And again, that's why I'm back to how I cover investments. Guess what? Here's a money manager. When the market goes up, you're going to make money. When the market goes down, you're going to lose money. And, the plan is the market's going to go up more often than go down. Keep it simple and keep it honest, okay? And then there's the market goes down regardless of how smart or dumb you are. Which is going to, and we've been affected by that immensely in the past couple of, in the past decades, decade and a half, right? And is that going to go up or go down? Is the volatility of the market going to go become higher, more volatility, or less volatility? Time goes as we move forward. More, man. But of course, if you're a great manager, you can avoid that, right? And this I want everybody to answer. If you have a great money manager, you can avoid the market volatility, can't you? Okay, good. Everybody's saying no. Thank you. So now that you've said that, believe it, okay? And it's your job to make sure clients believe it too. Running out of money. That's a risk that people have. Long-term care. So actually having to have somebody in your home taking care of you, or if you need to go into a memory care unit or whatever it may be, and that's not cheap. That's unforeseen. And things that drag things that drag your home value down. So the drag calculated by comparing home prices near each facility. Hospitals, it goes down by 3.2%. Shooting range, down by 3.7. Power plant, 5.3. Funeral home, 6.5. Cemetery, 12.3. Homeless shelter, 12.7. Here's what you should understand about homeless shelters. And, hey, we need these things. Don't get me wrong. But do these entities end up in every single neighborhood now? Not necessarily homeless shelters, but shelters that group homes for offenders, group homes for people who can't take care of themselves, group homes for memory care, group homes for whatever. And do they end up in neighborhoods? Do group homes end up in your neighborhoods? Can somebody buy a neighborhood? Yes. Group homes can be put basically in every neighborhood. There's just limits to how many. So that can affect your home value. Higher renter concentration. So what are we seeing now in a lot of neighborhoods? What happened during 2008? Who went in and bought a bunch of these houses and started renting them out? Investors. There are a lot more renters now than there used to be. Strip clubs are bad school. And guys, can a good school turn bad? Can a good school turn bad? Yeah. So these are not things that people would be thinking about. And then just the normal upkeep, having to replace the roof, having to replace the furnace, having to change carpeting or flooring, those kind of things. So these are things that most people don't talk about. But here's the thing. We have the 21-point checklist, right? There's 21 issues that we talk about. Normally it ends up being about 18 or 19 depending on the person. But guess what you have? You have lots of other things to talk about, and you for sure talk about death of a spouse, and for sure talk about unforeseen emergencies. Because why would we want to be talking about death of a spouse. Well, we lose income, so we better be planning for that. Well, how about unforeseen emergencies? Why do we need to talk to them about that? Why is that important? Guys, I talk often in my conversations in the 21-point checklist and with people, I talk about the 8 ball. So remember, or think about times that have been challenging for you. Times that have been challenging for you. You know, when does your car break? When does your house get ice dams and flood the whole front wall of your house inside? When does that stuff happen? That's right, Paul, at the worst of times when you can't afford it. Things seem to come in a bundle. So here's the thing. Guess when the ice damming is going to occur? When the market's up 30% or down 30%? Guess when the kids are going to lose their job and need help? When the market's up 30% or down 50%? Guys, guess what happened in 2008, 2009, 2010? Guess what happened to people's families? Parents moved in and kids moved in, and they're not moving out. So here's the thing. Why should we be talking about these things to our clients? Because they can't afford. Somebody who says is only worried about making returns on the market, that's terrific if the market only goes up. But the fact is, if the market goes down and they don't have a place to pull that money from, guess what? As Fred says, yes, we prepare for we hope for the best, but we got to prepare for the worst. And what percentage of people did we say was going to get hit with the worst? You remember? Well, 100% of people are going to lose a spouse, yep. What percent of people are going to get hit? Let me go back to it. So, what percentage of people? Yeah, 70%, Ron. Mike, that's right. 70%. So that means it's worth talking to our clients about or not worth talking to our clients about. And it's at least 70%. If they're married, it's going to be 100% because they are going to lose a spouse. Make sense? Are these things that you consider or think about with your clients, guys? Is it things that they think about? No, they don't, right, Terry? They don't. Or if they think about it, are they thinking about all of them or just one of them? Are they focused just on one? But the main thing is, I don't have to have them focus on all these, but if they understand this, then what do they have to do with their portfolio? What do they have to do with the way they invest? If they believe that these things can happen to them, it's going to happen to 70% of people or 100% of people who are married, they have to have a big chunk of their money that can get them through those bad times without taking huge hits when they pull that money out. Make sense? Which is why we do what? Why we do at least what? 50-50. Everybody's getting it. Yep, 50-50. Make sense? Super. So you all have a great rest of the week. We'll cut it early today. Have a great rest of the week, and we'll talk to you all on Friday. Thanks, everybody. Have a good rest of the week.